You'll be known not for E.T., not for your time with Lucas in the beginning of your career. You'll be known for taking a brand so beloved, so big, $1 billion, and flushed it down the toilet in a record-breaking 7 years. Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy expected to retire this year. I don't know.
Stop it. Get some help.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. We've been waiting a decade. A decade.
Hi, I'm Captain America. Here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have. Patience. Sometimes patience is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
How many more articles are we going to get of this? Right? We've seen it over and over and over. Kathleen Kennedy going to retire. Going to get kicked out. She's going to get fired. They did this after The Last Jedi. They did this over The Rise of Skywalker. They did it after the movies came out. They did all these things. Right? What are they going to do? Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy expected to retire this year. Okay. The prolific producer has presented over the Star Wars Indiana Jones franchise through ups and downs since 2012. After more than a decade in the galaxy far, far away, Kathleen Kennedy is charting a course towards retirement. The Lucasfilm boss has told associates that she plans to retire by the end of 2025, reported Monday night. Let me tell you, I don't believe it until I see it. Okay? I'm not going to get excited. I'm not going to be like, oh, here it is, because this is what it's been said for the last 5, maybe 6 years, that she's going to retire or she's going to get fired. So reps of Kennedy and Lucasfilm were not immediately available for comment. Kennedy joined Lucasfilm in 2012 as the co-chair alongside Star Wars creator George Lucas, and with a few months later took the reins of Disney. Disney's paid $4 billion for the company of Lucas existed. Okay, she relaunched the franchise beginning with J.J. Abrams' Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which did really well, but then people saw through it, which grossed more than $2 billion globally. Okay, revigorated the property as a big screen brand, and then the demise of it. Disney released Star Wars film every year after for 2015 to 2019, and then took a pause following Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which received a mixed response and earned just half of what Force Awakens had brought in just a few years later or earlier. Okay, like, think about that. You brought in a $2 billion movie for the first one by putting it on the back of Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill. And now when I mention those three people, what do you think of? Well, God rest her soul, Carrie Fisher is dead. Mark Hamill has become an absolute travesty. Okay, not even what he was. He's got derangement syndrome, which is ruining his career and everything else. Okay, and then Harrison Ford, well, he's just old, right? And he's always just been, bitter, and he wanted his character to die anyway. Okay, but they banked it by telling you that these three characters are going to be in that film, and they never, ever touched or talked to each other. We didn't even see Luke Skywalker until the last 15 seconds. Okay? And then everyone was like, what is this? What is this? It's like a bait and switch type of thing. Okay? So as Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy held one of the most viable, scrutinized jobs in Hollywood, it was not always smooth sailing. She fired Chris Lloyd, Phil Miller as directors of Solo, Star Wars Story, a middle of the production. The film went on to be the first Star Wars movie that lose money theatrically, okay, or theoretically, right? Well, it did lose money because of The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson screwed up Star Wars so bad that Solo actually failed. In the middle of production, the film also went on to be the first Star Wars film to lose money. She also sidelined Rogue One Star Wars Story director, okay, replaced him with Tony Gilroy, who was also brought on for the overseas reshoots. The film also became a $1 billion hit. Other projects were promised that never also materialized, such as Rian Johnson's trilogy, another overseen by Game of Thrones showrunner D.B. Benoff and David Weiss. A Daisy Ridley upcoming Return of the Star Wars, often been in development since the beginning of the announced the fan film almost 2 years ago. Okay, but even after Star Wars struggled to return to the big screen, the franchise found newfound life on Disney Plus. with The Mandalorian launching in November of 2019. That feels like a fucking lifetime ago, doesn't it? With the streaming service, it became a breakout hit, spawning multiple spin-offs, including critically acclaimed Andor, which nobody watched, right? Best show that nobody watched. And I mean that. Best show that nobody watched. It's the lowest rated Star Wars show. More people watched Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi than they watched Andor. It was returned for a second season this April, so maybe more people will start watching the older and then maybe watch the second one, as well as multiple shows that failed to hit the zeitgeist of sparked worries of dueling Star Wars brands. Coming up, Lucasfilm and The Mandalorian and Grogu from the director Jon Favreau due out May 22 of 2026. Imagine that you fucked up the brand so bad and you were making a movie every year from 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. You made 5 movies in 5 years. And then what have we seen since then? How many movies have we seen from Star Wars in the last 5 years? Oh, that's right, 0. How many hit Star Wars shows were there on Disney Plus in the last 5 years? Oh, that's right, 0. 0 hit shows on Disney Plus. Kennedy's story career includes work with Steven Spielberg and husband Frank Marshall, with the collaboration including Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981, E.T. Extraterrestrial in 1982, Gremlins in 1984, Color Purple in 1985, The Goonies in 1985, Empire of the Sun in 1987, Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 1988, and Back to the Future trilogy in 85 to 1990. The Indiana Jones films, which also concluded with the last year's Dial of Destiny. In all of she has produced or executive produced more than 70 films, and has been nominated for 8 Oscars. So, the news comes ahead of April's Star Wars celebration in Tokyo, where the future of Star Wars franchise is expected to be unveiled. Here's why they announced her retirement now. Because of Celebration coming up. Again, these are just my thoughts, okay? The reason they do this is so they can do the farewell tour. The thank you so much for what you've done to the industry. Thank you so much for what you've done for Star Wars. Let me tell you something. You've done nothing for Star Wars. You've completely ruined the brand of Star Wars. You took something, a man who was so in love, it was like his child, sold it to Disney, and you took his thing and crashed it. It's like you driving a car, putting makeup on, and didn't give a shit about who was in the back seat, which was Star Wars, and you crashed the car and completely ruined the franchise. You took a thing where they couldn't even keep toys on the shelf back in the day. Thousands of books, cartoons, and comic books that you could pull lore from, and you sat in an interview and said, we got nothing to pull from, and you decided to make a whole new thing, okay? I don't know if Lucas did this on purpose so they couldn't make anything from the original trilogy, or they just purposely didn't want to make anything from the original trilogy. They made a theme park based off the new stuff instead of the old stuff. What kind of stupid, moronic move was that? Okay? But here we are. You'll be known, not for E.T., not for your time with Lucas in the beginning of your career. You'll be known for taking a brand so beloved, so big, $1 billion, and flushed it down the toilet in a record-breaking 7 years. Okay? 7 years. You took 40 years and flushed it down in 5, really. Technically 3, because it was done after The Last Jedi. It took you 3 years to flush down one of the most beloved franchises in the history of movie making. And this is what Kathleen Kennedy will be known for. So until I see her say herself that I'm retired and done by the end of 2025, I don't believe it. I wanted to believe it, but I will not believe it until she actually says I'm done. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching.